All right, today we're diving into a really powerful philosophical idea, something called the liquefaction of the soul. So, get this. The whole idea kicks off with this incredible quote. It's about a saint's blood that liquefies once a year, and it's described as a theatrical performance. Now, you might think this is just about some old religious relic, right? But it's actually a jumping off point, a powerful metaphor for something happening way deeper inside all of us. Okay, so let's first unpack this miracle in a vial. This is the first kind of transformation we're looking at. It's a big public show, something that happens out in the open where everyone can watch. Now, for the people watching, the believers, this is a huge deal. A hardened, old relic suddenly becomes this flowing sign from heaven. It validates their whole way of life. But here's the key thing to catch. Their belief, their focus, it's all on the transformation of someone else's blood. It's an event outside of themselves that makes them feel justified on the inside. And right there, that's the pivot. That's the core question here. What if that whole public miracle, what if it's just a shadow of something way, way bigger? A different and maybe even greater kind of liquefaction. This is where we turn inward. We're moving away from the crowd and the spectacle, and we're looking at the soul's secret thaw. This is a transformation that happens in private. It's completely internal. Yeah, and look at this breakdown. It really spells it out. You've got the saint's blood on one side, a theatrical performance that needs a crowd. Then you have the philosopher's soul, a private transformation that becomes its own sea. One needs an external sign to justify a life, while the other, it justifies itself just by its own flow. It's all about shifting from looking for a miracle out there to actually becoming the miracle in here. And this line, wow, my blood becomes its own sea. I mean, just think about the scale of that. We're not talking about a few drops of liquid in a glass vial anymore. We're talking about your entire inner world becoming this vast, boundless ocean, something totally immense and completely personal. Okay, so how does this private transformation actually happen? Well, that's what we're digging into next, this journey of self-overcoming, moving from being frozen to, well, flowing. So the starting point. Imagine a soul that's just frozen solid. The text calls it a long winter of despair and resentment. It's that feeling of being completely fixed in your old ways, your old prejudices. You're just solid, hard, stuck. And this is how that thaw happens, step by step. You start with the ice, those hard, fixed beliefs. Then something comes along, the warmth of a new idea, a new wisdom, and starts to stir things up. But it doesn't just melt into a little puddle. No, it becomes a river, totally rushing and free. And that river has a destination. It's not just wandering aimlessly. It's actively yearning for something more, for the great big sea of existence. This line right here really captures that feeling, doesn't it? It's not just about melting away. It's about having a direction, a new purpose that comes from this freedom. The soul isn't trapped anymore. It's moving towards something so huge, it couldn't even have imagined it back when it was just a block of ice. But, and this is a big but, this whole process isn't painted as some easy, happy journey. Oh no, there's a real danger to it. There's a price you have to pay for this kind of freedom. And that brings us to the heart of what self-overcoming really is. It's described as a terrifying and dangerous miracle. Why terrifying? Well, because it means you have to let go of the idea of yourself as this solid, permanent statue, this monument. And instead, you have to embrace being a current, something that's always moving, always changing. That is a huge, and honestly, a pretty scary shift. So what exactly melts away in this thaw? Well, it's the big stuff, the very foundations we build our lives on. Your old moralities, those stale certainties you always clung to, and that central idea of a fixed, unchanging you. All of it just dissolves, gets swept away in the current. And listen, what replaces that ice? It isn't some gentle little stream. It's a torrent. It's powerful, it's chaotic, but it's also beautiful. It's like all this potential that was locked away is suddenly, violently released. Which really brings everything down to one fundamental choice, doesn't it? A choice this whole idea puts right in front of us. Are you a monument, or are you a current? A fixed thing, or a process of constantly becoming? And this is the ultimate state of that transformed soul. It doesn't need anyone to watch. It doesn't need a relic to prove it's real. It finds all the meaning it needs in its own beautiful and chaotic becoming. Just the act of flowing is its own justification. So, to wrap this all up, the idea leaves us with a really direct and personal question. This isn't about some saint from history or a philosopher from a book. This is for you, for me, for all of us. Which one are you? A fixed monument, solid and unchanging, or a flowing current, always, always in the act of becoming?